It is a brand new year, Kodi, and we are back with Of a Certain Age. Happy New Year, Kodi.
Happy New Year, Boo. I'm so excited for a brand new year and more to come.
Yes, a little bit later on the show, we're going to be talking to John and energy healing and all the things that you can manifest and really work with old wounds that you may have that you didn't even know you had. And we'll get all into energy healing a little bit later. But this is always an interesting time of year because a lot of people like to look forward, project for the year ahead, resolutions, of course, that many keep and many don't. What does this beginning of the year usually mean for you?
It means a reset. It means taking stock of what I want to do with the coming year and how I want to approach things from here on out. It's just basically a reshuffling of my goals and wants and desires for the coming year. What about you? What do you usually plan for the new year? How do you align yourself with what you want in the coming year?
Yeah, it's interesting. Every year is a little bit different. I remember one year I did a vision board, which I was all
Ooh.
about. And many of the things on the vision board came to fruition, which was really exciting and cool. This particular year, I feel is going to be, I set a lot of things in motion in 2023 that that I want to continue to move forward with. And so I feel like I planted a lot of seeds in 2023, and now it's time to continue watering them and launching them a little bit, nudging them further forward. And I'm excited about that. So that's kind of what it is. But of course, intention setting for other things as well. But kind of that's my intention for 2024, which I'm excited about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And when it comes to planning your year ahead, I mean, we're going to be talking to John and energy healing and old wounds. And what does that mean to you? I mean, I know I'm excited to talk to him first off, but what is
Oh,
it kind of spiritually? What does it mean for you to have a new year ahead of you?
Oh, definitely. Love that this is our first episode of the year because it really is about taking stock of who you are, who you've been, and getting in touch with that and going through what you need to go through in order to heal and looking towards the future in purpose of living in your best self in the future. It really is such a great episode. It's such a lovely feeling to be able to dive into this work with Johnergy. He's such an amazing and welcoming and warm person. So I was so happy to do it. What about you? What do you think about the episode and how it deals with the new year and things of that nature?
I agree. Taking stock of things as well. And we loved talking to Johnergy. You are in for a treat with our conversation with him and probably get some tools to consider, to maybe implement, maybe even work with him. But one of the things at the beginning of the year, particularly this year, I felt like as a whole, our community in general, or the world in general, was so wounded last year. There were so
Mm.
many things that occurred last year that were really traumatic in general. But for our community in particular, LGBTQ plus, was a lot of trauma that occurred in
Oh, yeah.
2023. And so when you take that collectively and then you take what you're going through, and when I say you're, all of us individually, we are kind of broken in many ways. And so I think it would really do us all. We, of course, you want to have goals and things that you're working on, but collectively, as a society, as a community, I think it's a really good time to spiritually plant some seeds that hopefully will be fruitful and look out for the entirety of the community that we really need right now. I just think
Hmm.
that so many of us are Holding on by a thread in many
Yeah.
ways based on last year. And, the holiday season, for me at least, was a really good time to reset, to be with family. And I know that's not always something everybody is able to do, but hopefully a lot of people were able to have a little bit of peaceful times.
Hmm.
And I know that's hard to say because it's not peaceful in all parts of the world. So our audience certainly gets this all over the place. So I
Yeah.
just think it'll be a beautiful time to kind of think about things spiritually as you're planning many of your New Year's resolutions, if you do at all.
Yeah, I totally, totally agree with that. And isn't that such a wonderful goal to have, especially for me personally, coming from my perspective, to be able to heal and look at yourself and want to be the best version of yourself and want to be a good person and a healing entity within your community. That is such a lofty and wonderful goal for me personally. I'm writing that one down on my list, honestly,
Yes.
because I need to be that person that's in the community that's shining a light on the community and really just moving us forward to be a better society in general. So, thanks for that, Steve.
Oh, absolutely. I think I will take that note myself. I think oftentimes we feel like we're just this little one speck individual and what can we do? But really, I do believe if everybody kind of works on themselves individually, then when we
Mhm.
come together collectively, it can only have a powerful impact. At least that's the hope that I want to believe in. And I know it's true. So, let's get into our beautiful conversation in this
Yes.
new year, our first episode of 2024 with Johnergy. Well, we couldn't be more excited in this brand new year to bring on our very special guest, John Steen, energy healing practitioner. Energy healing is an amazing holistic modality that works with higher consciousness and energy flow through the practitioner to clear blockage and support the physical body's natural regeneration. Of course, we're going to ask so many more questions to dive into there, but John, welcome to the show. And you say initially that energy healing came into your life at a time when your life had completely fallen apart. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. Hi, Steve. Hi, Kodi. It's so grateful to be with
Hi.
you and on your new podcast. Congratulations. I've been such a fan of your guys for so long, so I'm so happy to be here. But yes, my
Aw.
life fell completely apart, probably starting around 48. Um, I worked for the federal government for 33 years, and 28 of those years I worked for the Drug Enforcement Administration here in San Francisco, and I had filed a discrimination lawsuit against the agency, and I was also a whistleblower. And so just the
Wow.
retaliation for standing up for myself and standing up for the marginalized other my coworkers who were also marginalized, um, standing for them. So just um, the retaliation from that was immense, and it lasted for about 5 years until I got in 2019. I felt like I was hanging by a thread, and the retaliation was so bad. They were even retaliating against me when I was on vacation over the Christmas holiday, and I just came back at the beginning of 2020, and I decided to resign. And then my life, the pandemic hit, and then my life was I still felt like I was hanging by a thread in 2020. And while I was going
Yeah.
through all that drama, a friend in work that I would worked with, she gave me the introduction to Insight Timer, which is a free meditation app, and I had never really meditated much. I tried, but I couldn't do it. I was too antsy, and so I just went away from it. And then I was just so desperate that I got into meditating, and I did notice a shift when I started doing that before I quit my job, probably around 2018, 2019. So I felt a shift with the meditation. But then because of the pandemic hit and I was so stressed out with from quitting my job and then the pandemic because I didn't have health care. So I was just felt like I was suffering a lot. And
Hmm.
um, I had my whole life I've been interested in a lot of spirituality stuff and therapy and all that. And so I knew to ask myself, what is the reason I'm going through all this drama? And I could never find an answer within myself. And once I started back with the meditation in October of 2020, and that's when I found the answer that I really, the universe was nudging me that I really had to pay attention and really heal my core wound, which is abandonment, because I grew up in an alcoholic home as a child and dealing with all that trauma. Even though I was dealing with it most of my life through therapy and Al Anon and spiritual studies, what I learned is that I spiritually bypassed all my feelings about what I was going through. And so that resulted in my life falling apart.
It's so
Wow.
interesting because wounds seem to be and blockages are what we all have. And it seems like energy healing really, you have to be willing to go to those. You write in one of your blog posts that I was so struck by to tap a little bit more about the alcoholism that was in your family. You say, as you mentioned in a post to your classmates, my mother drank while pregnant with all of us, three of us. We were all born with a malady of our left sides. Clearly, there was fetal alcohol syndrome that affected these maladies, I believe. For me, I was born with an undescended testicle, which can be common, and your siblings had eye and ear maladies. You say at the age of 5, you had an operation to have the testicle lowered into place. And you still have memories of this traumatic event, being in the hospital, the gas mask going over your face in the hospital bed crying. And when I allowed myself, you say, the thoughts of me as a fetus in my mother's womb, being fed alcohol and possibly my little arms and legs kicking and moving to get away before becoming possibly addicted to being fed alcohol, was when the healing episode occurred and I was able to get in touch with the energy within my body and release it. It was extremely freeing. And there's more to that. We could certainly direct people to that, but wow, what an
Wow.
amazing story. And to be able to track it back. Did you always know that this was where a lot of the pain was coming from, or did it take a lot of work to get there?
It took me a lot of work. I did not know that pain was a result of that. I've always known that since my 20s that my fear of abandonment and abandonment issues from my mother being an alcoholic, growing up in that environment, was the source of a lot of my wounds. But I was never able to get there. I spent in my 20s in and out of therapy. Every time a relationship would end, I was so devastated, I'd jump back into therapy. And then the last relationship, I went into group therapy and I stayed there for 7 years. In my 20s, I went to Al Anon and I stayed there for about 7 years. And I could never get to the healing that I needed to get to with those wounds. And I ended up feeling like well into my 40s that I'm just going to have to live with this. And so that's what I was kind of doing
Wow.
until my life fell apart. And it wasn't until I started studying the energy healing and I was studying shamanism alongside the energy healing. And I heard a few women in my shamanic class talking about stuff that happened to them within the womb. And so I've always known that my mother drank when she was pregnant with us. She was very upfront about that. But I never connected the two, that's where my abandonment issues arose from. Because I always thought, well, could it be something that this happened when I was this age, this age, this age? I just never knew. And until I allowed my mind to say, yes, it's because of your mother's drinking while you were in the womb, that's where the abandonment came from. Because when you think of let's think, of a woman drinking. So she's escaping something, right, to drink. So you're not caring for the your fetus in you. So you're abandoning
Right.
your obligation as a pregnant mother caring for your child. So that's abandonment. So whatever she's feeling, that fetus picks up. So, like, I've also, most of my life I've had fight, flight, freeze, or fawn experience with everything. So that's where I believe also that my um, fight or flight response also originated.
Oh wow, that is so interesting. So is that where when you discovered energy healing, how like did someone do it to you? Because for me the experience was you asked about my personal life, you asked what I wanted to focus on, and did somebody have do this to you and that's how you kind of got involved in it to kind of overcome or supersede these traumas that you experienced?
Well, when I was on Insight Timer, when I went back to Insight Timer in October of 2020, they had just the month prior, I believe it was, they started having live sessions with teachers. So because it was
Mm-hmm.
the pandemic, everything was closed. Everything was closed down here, at least in San Francisco and most of the country. Um, I was attending those 4, 5, 6 of those live sessions a day. So I was doing a lot of meditation, which I noticed a shift in my healing. And then I was doing things that I had never heard of, and energy healing was one of them. And so I was attending this teacher's classes for about 6 months, and he was um, publicizing that they had an upcoming class. And I went to their website, and what drew me to take the class was a deep dive into you figuring out who you are, self-realization, and healing your emotional traumas. So that's what got me to take that class, because during his energy healing sessions, there were between 100-200 people in it. I started feeling things just
Mm.
just in those group sessions. The group sessions are amazing. Um, and that was on the phone, his phone and my phone, so you like feeling all this stuff, like, how is this happening? So it just,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of it was my curiosity too, because I was feeling stuff. I was starting to feel better.
I love that. And if we could just dive a little bit more into what's really going on in energy healing. I mean, I did we talked a little bit earlier on the show about our personal experiences and it was amazing. But, you know, before this, I've always known the power of focusing on something and really putting my energies into one thing or being in the zone type of thing. But this is working with an energy field. Can you just talk about what's really going on in energy healing and why it can be so effective?
Sure. So around each and every one of us, we have an energy field. It's about 7 layers. And it's only a few inches off our physical body. So we all have that energy field around us. So I'm working with the energy field that's around me, the energy field that's around you, and I work with higher consciousness, higher source, or God, whatever you want to call it. And I'm telling higher source, based on what you tell me prior to a session that you want to work on. So there's an intention there. And so I have all these different tools, energetics, um, forms of consciousness, directives that I use based on what you tell me. And I'm telling higher source to do this within the 50-minute session. Um, and so that's what you're feeling in that session, is me running the energy using my field and your field, because I'm here in San Francisco, you're there in New York. So
Mm-hmm.
with distance healing, the greater distance, the greater field that we have to work with, because we're working with energy. We create a field between you and I. And then if there's a group of people, then that energy field just expands no matter where you are on the entire planet. So you can almost feel like this expansion when you're in a group session. It's just an amazing feeling.
Wow, that is so amazing. And for me, you focused a lot on chakras. What is the connection? What can you tell me about the connection between your chakras and the cleansing of your energy?
So our chakras is the main are our main energy points within our energy field. We all have chakras, whether or not you believe in it or not, might be new to some people. And above our energy field in our head is called the tube torus. It's a donut shape, and it goes down in through your crown chakra, which is on the top of your head, and it runs down through your central channel. And your central channel is where your chakras are located within your energy field. And your central channel is in front of your spine, and it's about the shape of a straw. So you have
Hmm.
7 chakras, 1 through 7. The your first chakra, your root chakra, is in your perineum, and then it goes up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to get to your head. And actually, above your head, there's 2 chakras or nodes as well, and also below your feet, your Earth star chakras is about a foot below your feet. Those are important, but they're not as important as the 7 chakras that I work with in your energy field, because the chakras all relate to something. Like your root chakra is is like your survival, your security, feeling rooted, feeling secure where you are. Your second chakra, your sacral chakra, is your creativity and your sexuality. So your chakras are all
Ooh.
relate to different things. It's really fascinating.
Super
Yes.
fascinating. I couldn't think of a more important time for energy healing with what's going on in the world right now. The power that we could really help in, other parts of the world. We all know how crazy it is right now. When people are working with you, and let's say you're working with an issue or a blockage that somebody has, what if somebody has more than one thing they want to work on? Is it better to just focus on one area, or can you kind of combine a couple things? What if it's career, but then you're also dealing with maybe some emotional issues in a relationship? Is it better to focus on one, or can you combine those?
So it's best when you're doing a session on because a lot of issues are related to something, you know. So I'll ask more questions. If you want to work on your career and you want to move forward and you're feeling stuck, well, I will ask you what makes you feel stuck, and then you're like, well, I don't feel like my self worth. Okay, so that's another layer to peel off. And well, when you're feeling that way, where do you feel that in your body? Because our body always knows. Our body is telling us stuff. Because that's where a lot of, especially if they're unprocessed emotions, especially from childhood, you
Hmm.
push those emotions down. And because emotions are energy in motion, and those emotions have to go somewhere. And so we push them down into our body. And that's how they end up causing problems in our life. And what I have noticed for myself with the healing that I have had, that those trapped emotions, once I was able to map it out and clear the blockages, a lot of those self-defeating behaviors fell away on their own, which has shocked me. Not all of them, but and I'm not even sure if my teachers. This is not something that they've said. I'm actually going to see them next week on a retreat in Mexico, so I look forward to expressing that to them and see what they say about that. That self-defeating behaviors could be also emotional blockages within our system.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. That's so great. And just kind of to piggyback on what Steve's question, because I felt a little personally attacked on that one. I don't know if he was talking about me specifically.
What? No, I definitely wasn't.
No, no, no.
No, I'm
No, not
joking.
at
Of course, I'm joking. I think that was my own mind just kind of
all.
inserting myself into Steve's question, which I always do. So, so I was just thinking, how often do you have to cleanse your energy? Like, I feel personally that I had an amazing session, but I'm ready to do it again. How
Mhm.
often would you recommend that somebody cleanse their energy with you?
Well, what we're not really cleansing our energy. What we want to do is
Okay.
find the blockages within each person, within you, where there's a blockage within you. So it's really based on how you're feeling. If you're feeling that a specific issue that you're working on, that you that you've made it through the other side, then maybe you release that blockage. Like for
Hmm.
myself, I do this usually twice a day. I do 60-minute sessions on myself twice a day, only because it's energy healing is also a form of meditation. You know, you're in a meditative state, and when I was doing it 3 times a day for a year after I was
Mm.
graduated and got certified and everything, because I just felt there was something I needed more. I could just feel there was things percolating inside me, and that's how I was able to do it, is through the energy healing that I was doing on myself. Because actually, that's a good point to make. Even though I'm the practitioner, I'm running the energy. You, the client, you're the one who's actually doing the healing. I'm not healing anybody. I'm just the practitioner running the energy and holding sacred space for you to heal.
That is so interesting because in my session too, you led me along, but I was feeling a change because we did it, I believe it was an hour,
Hmm.
and the feelings that I got at the beginning definitely shifted, and by the end of the hour to a completely different. So I totally get that. I'm just curious because with therapy, like I'm a very physical type person, and I've experienced and tried meditation before, yoga. So I love that kind of healing just naturally. But how does therapy, like regular talk therapy versus energy healing, differ? I know they're totally different modalities, but for me, this is more effective. But what's the difference between simply talking through your emotions and energy healing?
So the energy healing is removing blockages, and I think there's like I've done so much talk therapy, and I was just never able to get to where I needed to where I am today. You know, it's because I think it was trauma, and a lot of therapists aren't trauma informed. They don't know how to get to that trauma, that especially if you experienced it as a child, which I think most of us have experienced. You know, our parents aren't
Yes.
perfect. They did the best they could, but we experienced trauma as a child. So for me, growing up in an alcoholic home, with some added trauma and just the experiences that I had as a child and stuffing those emotions down. And that is the most amazing thing about energy healing, is that it's an acceleration, that I was able to get here in a very short time, no matter how the years and years I spent in therapy and the money that I spent in therapy, and I just ended up leaving because I was like, just didn't feel like this was working for me. But there have been things that I have worked on myself, because as growing up in an alcoholic home, I have had some depression in my life. I did one session on myself with depression, and I felt an amazing, amazing relief of energy within my
Hmm.
system, that, like, oh my gosh, wow. And so after I did this session on depression, I also worked on my low self worth, and one session on my low self worth. I had an amazing reaction to that as well. I'm not going to say that that's going to happen for everybody, but I have worked with people, some clients, on anxiety. And one person in particular, last week I did a session with them on depression, and they felt an amazing relief as well. So
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty miraculous, and it's just an amazing, beautiful practice.
That's so amazing. You touched a little bit on the effects and all of that. Can you just expound on the effects, like bodily effects? Because I remember in my session coming out of it feeling more connected to everything around me. It was
Mm.
just transcendental. It was just so amazing for me. Can you just expound a little bit on the effects physically of having an energy healing?
Sure. So one of the great things about doing energy healing, and you get into that meditative state, and I'm running the energy. You'll get to, if you're not a meditator or have never done it, you get to experience how you yourself eh, feel the energy and what your ESP is, extrasensory perception, because we all have that. So you'll either discover if you have visions, or a lot of people get visions. I myself don't get visions. A lot of people see colors or sacred geometry, or they sense things in their body. That's how I feel the subtle energy. I feel things in my body, which is clairsentience. If you see things, that's clairvoyance. If you're
Wow.
hearing things, that's clairaudience. Lots of people have lots of different ways that they experience the extrasensory perception. So I think both of you were more clairsentient.
Yes.
You were
Oh,
feeling it.
okay.
I was feeling it,
I
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, was feeling it. Yeah, but I want them all. Can you give them
Hey,
to all of them to me?
I want them
Yeah.
all as well. I want them all as well.
I mean, I'm wondering if in the visual side of seeing it, I was reading some of your blogs and you talk about some of us, maybe it's in a certain type of work, but spirit animal. And you talked about at one point seeing a hawk.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean by seeing things, or was that a certain type of practice?
No. So for when a spirit animal comes in your life, that they're trying to give you a message. It's spirit giving you a message. And from what I learned through studying shamanism, that they're trying to give you a message, and they're also giving you like medicine. Like all these animals represent something within the spirit realm. It's truly fascinating. And my shamanism teacher explains it. When a spirit animal is coming into your life, you will an animal will show up into your life 3 consecutive times. So, for
Oh,
instance,
wow.
if you uh, if you see a hawk, so I was seeing hawks. I kept seeing them on my walks. You might see a hawk on TV in a commercial. You might walk by someone and you hear someone say hawk. You might see a picture in a window. That's how it all shows up. And so when it shows up, it's an amazing thing when it shows up. I actually love it. It's happened 4 different times for myself over a 2 year period, and they've all had healing qualities to them. And it's really fascinating. It's amazing because once you believe and once you start paying attention, those signs are everywhere.
I
That
love
is,
that. We
yes.
also wanted Cody, right, to talk about some of his other
Hmm.
healing services. There's so many that we could just list. You work with exploring your chakras, neurotherapy, astral clearing, cord clearing. That one really caught my attention. Energy psychic cords are very common in all of our interactions and our relationships and those people we come in contact with. While cord clearing may be done in any session, some people know they need to clear these cords and are looking to clear them energetically. Can you expand upon that particular work, energy work? Because I'm so struck by it.
Sure. So one of the side effects, if you will. One of the things that has happened for me in my life with the healing that I've gone through since I've been doing this for 2.5 years, and especially the last year, I've lost almost all of my friends, especially my inner circle, because as
Oh,
I started to change and I have boundaries, because when I started my healing journey, committed myself to it a few years ago, I thought I was naively thought that all my relationships were secure, all my friendships were great, a few things here and there, but I was naive. Once I started having boundaries, and once you change, people don't like when you change. So I've lost a lot of
mhm.
my friends, and especially my inner circle, and that's been really painful for me. So what I
Wow.
did a lot of work when that was happening, I did a lot of cord clearing on those relationships because we all have energetic cords that we plug into people. Even if you could go to the store and have an interaction with the cashier, and there's an energetic cord there, but some of them become more intense. Especially around our families or a really close friend, or if you have a codependent relationship with a partner or something. Um, they're all energetic cords. So releasing those cords and doing work on that, you kind of
Oh,
you'll feel it when it happens. Like I've had stuff that I've done, natal stuff with my mother, where I had pain in my belly button where that umbilical cord is. So it's like you'll be able to tell because the cords, we can attach cords on anywhere in our body, and those cords can affect an area like your liver, your spleen, your kidneys or something. So if you have a specific relationship with someone and that energetic cord, wherever that is plugged into your body, you'll feel it there.
oh my
Wow, it's
God.
so
I mean,
so
Fascinating.
amazing.
it is
Yeah.
fascinating because I had something with a friend long time ago and I finally released it. It took so long and it was actually a group of people, but Cody knows I have a current former neighbor friend that I do think I need to release this because it's just we're still in the same building and we're no longer close like we were. We just grew in totally different directions, but I could see where this would be super effective. So
Yeah.
I might be calling you up
Absolutely.
for that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Cody.
It's so funny because I have the same thing with me, but it's wild that you talk about the cores because what I was interested in was the ancestral work. Can you expand a little bit about the ancestral work and how that energy can be cleared, or tell us all about that?
So I've done just a little of that with my training, but it's I could hold space for someone doing that, but I myself, despite all the trauma that I know is on both sides of my family, which is ancestral trauma, I haven't had healing, I believe, with that myself. But a lot of people
Mm,
know specifically what they want to work on when they do ancestral healing. So it's really based on what the other person is feeling, um, and what they want to work on. I could easily do that with someone and hold that space and run something for them because I work with what's called protocols. So I would design a
mhm.
protocol for someone who wants to do ancestral work. And that's the same thing with past lives. A lot of people know that they have had past lives and they want to heal. Because a lot of people say if you healing past lives can help you heal stuff in your present day life, which is also fascinating as well. So
It is.
because of the ancestral stuff, in my training we went back 6 generations, and I felt something for myself during the third generation, and it felt like it was
Okay.
on my father's side, I believe, because our body kind of tells us, our right side of our body is female energy, and the left side of I'm sorry, the right side is male energy, the left side is female energy. So doing that ancestral stuff on your father's side, on your mother's side, I was feeling that on the right side of my body when we did stuff on my father.
Wow, that's
Wow.
so interesting.
That just made me think, my balance is better on my left-hand side. Just my physical balance. I'm not sure that that has anything to do with it, but if I have more
Uh-oh.
feminine energy or not, but interesting.
So also
Yes.
with the male female energy thing. So if you're feeling stuff, because I know both of you had some female energy on your left side, and then it also goes to like the left side is female energy, also goes to right brain thinking. So it's complete opposite in your brain where a lot of our stuff is in our neural area. So if your left side equals right side brain, right side equals left side brain. Because I think a lot of us come from our right, work from our right, the right side of our brain in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then it
we
shows
both
up on
have
the
it.
left side of your body, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, interesting. Well, so many other modalities you work with: energy healing. We could list a few more: holistic balancing, dosha balancing, all balancing, your own conception and embryonic development, vital therapy. These are all great things that we can list for people. But, John, this has been so enlightening. And we both want to thank you for our own sessions that you gave us because
Yes.
they were so like we felt different. We both talked about it separately together actually after, and we had such amazing experiences when we did it. So thank you so
That
much.
that's fantastic. I'm so happy to hear that. It's really a beautiful, beautiful practice, and I hope that it gains traction. I think it's something that people don't really know about. They may think it's a little woo-woo or something, but it works. I can attest to it. It works. It worked for me.
Yes.
So
Well,
now I want
thank
to
you.
give it to everyone.
And then we
Yes.
want people to find out about you. People can go to johnergy.com, correct? John, like your name, Johnergy. John, I love that too, by the way,
Thank
Johnergy,
you.
johnergy.com. How else can people follow you? We'll, of course, list it, but list everything.
Yes, yes. Visit my website. You can also check me out on Instagram, Johnergy Healing. I was away from Instagram for 5 years and recently went back, so I'm trying to build back, my audience, build back an audience there. So a follow on Instagram would be great as well.
And
Because
that is,
I would love to really direct my practice towards the LGBT community as well. Because if I could just say this one thing, and we have time.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, of
Sure.
course.
There's this white straight woman who does amazing work in the healing
John?
community. Hello,
Oh, did we lose John? He
I'm
was just going
here.
to say this one thing.
I
I'm
We
know.
here.
want to hear that one thing.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, now
Oh,
we
now we
can.
can.
Go ahead
Oh,
and
Yeah.
start over that
okay.
last bit because you dropped off for a second.
Oh, okay. So if I could just say this one thing, I'm really trying to steer my practice towards the LGBTQ community. And there's this woman who's doing amazing work on Instagram, and she wrote this book about healing. Who is healing for? Because it's healing and yoga and therapy and all that stuff the price can be really exorbitant right now, because there's such a need for healing out there. There's like, yeah, as you said, Steve, there's so much going on in the world, in our lives, and especially in our community. We're being targeted right now. So I know that people need a lot of help. So this woman is doing this amazing work on getting the white supremacy out of healing in a way. So,
Mm,
because it almost feels like it's a white woman thing in a way. And I'm not meaning to bash white women. I don't want to bash
yeah.
anyone. We're all connected. But when their focus is on other people, other people like LGBT people and people of color get lost in that. So I just want to shout out to the amazing work that she's doing. She has this book called American Detox, and the
Ooh.
work she's
Okay.
doing. So I kind of want to follow in the footsteps of that, and that's why I really want to steer my practice towards the LGBT community, because we need a lot of help right now.
Well,
That's
that
right.
is the
Thank
direction of
you.
our show and our allies, of course, as well. But you hit the target there. So we will continue to get this energy healing out to our audience. Thank you so much, John.
It's my pleasure. Thank you guys for having me. I'm so very grateful. You guys are amazing, and I love your podcast. I love all the work you're doing.
Oh, thank you, John.
Wow, Kodi, what an amazing conversation with Johnergy. I hope it resonated with everybody else as it did with you and I.
So great. I really got my life with him, and going through the experience of the energy healing, it was so transcendental. I felt out of body. We mentioned it already, but I felt out of body with the whole experience. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, and one of the things that I took away, I took some notes, and he talked about when he was really explaining the process on energy healing. That was really interesting to me because he said that we all have these layers of an energy field that are only about a few inches away from us, but everybody has that. And when you think about that, you might think differently even when you come across a frenemy or somebody that's being obnoxious in this world, to know that they have an energy field too that you can sometimes hopefully cross, or you can at least try and cross with a better intention. But the
Hmm.
power that he talked about and the distance that you can have in energy healing, because, he was in San Francisco when he did your session as well as my session. And we
Yeah.
are, of course, in New York. And that was really interesting to me how the greater the distance, the more powerful the energy healing can actually be.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that it was a palpable connection between the two of us, despite the distance. And that really makes sense to me because even being on the train with hundreds of thousands of people every day, maybe not that many, maybe like tens of people every day, you can definitely get a sense, or I can. So I don't want to speak for everybody, but I can get a sense of people and what they're feeling, and it just all started to click for me when you were talking and speaking to Johnergy about how the energy field really can affect your well-being and your state of mind. And so when you go out there into the world, just realize that you are affecting people with your energy, and to keep as positive an energy as possible.
I love that you said the train example because this
Yeah.
morning there's a track here in Puerto Vallarta that I've been wanting to try. It's a
Hmm.
huge stadium and they have outdoor exercise equipment and everything associated with the track and field. And I decided to make my way over there to do a little jog walk. And there was some sprinters out there was walkers, there was people of all ages, there was people from here in Mexico locals, there was expats, and there was me. And I couldn't
Hmm.
help but think, and we all had a different pace and everybody was mourning, and there was just a sense of positive energy. And I couldn't help but look around and be thankful for all of us being together in this stadium, track and field, doing something positive in the morning for us, that I could feel a collective energy. And like you said, it's not always positive, but hopefully you can put that positive energy out there to at least kind of do your part. So, yeah, really great stuff.
So
And
great.
yeah, but wonderful episode. And I hope some of you try it and maybe even reach out to Johnergy because
Definitely.
we loved our sessions, and I plan to do more in the coming year.
Likewise.
Yeah, maybe even some group ones we could get together as well. So
Ooh, I love
yeah,
uh, a little group energy time.
yeah, absolutely. Well, wonderful. Okay. Well, again, it's the brand new year. We want many of you to follow us, our brand new show, Of a Certain Age, and you can follow it on Instagram, Of a Certain Age Pod, POD. Follow us there and you can get updates on the show. And we're going to be putting a lot more stuff up there in this new year. So some new episodes coming your way, Kodi, that we're
Mm-hmm.
excited about. And let us know what you want to hear too. I think that would be great, because
That would be amazing.
yeah, DM us and let us know. So okay, Kodi, well,
All right.
great show.
Great show.
And remember, what are we doing? We're
We're living
living out
out
loud.
loud.